Okay, in we come, sitting on the mat. Thanks, in we come. I use a range of formative assessment strategies within my classroom across all learning areas. I often use the random selection tool to choose students at random for different learning activities, whether it's in response to a question or to reflect on learning. I find that this creates equal opportunities for students and it encourages active participation from everybody. So it's not always the one kid that has their hand up all the time. It just means that everybody is always ready to answer a question when it's asked or to reflect on something. So I feel like it just encourages inclusion within the classroom. And if a student is unsure of an answer, they're able to ask a friend, which also fosters collaboration within our learning environment. So formative assessment is embedded across our school. We do a lot of professional development in formative assessment and it's implemented across all grades and all learning areas. So formative assessment is used to gain information about student understanding and provide teachers with feedback that informs their practice. So the information that I get from the students, whether it's through written feedback or whether it's through verbal feedback, I'm able to then take that and use it to inform my future teaching practices and change lessons depending on where students, or depending on student feedback for me. So it's not a matter of set lessons anymore, it's about looking at where students are at and their engagement, their response to particular tasks and activities, and then redirecting lessons to better support them in where they're at.
So Amaru has started implementing formative assessment this year, and so through professional development we've been learning about a range of strategies. So I use information by observations of my students during class time, and I engage in conversations with my teaching partner, and all of these strategies inform my future planning. In my classroom, particularly around the area of numeracy, I use a range of formative assessment strategies. One of these is my learning intention wall, so it's displayed in our classroom, and at the beginning of the lesson my students and I talk about what the learning intention, so what we want to learn, is going to be. So it's a great way for myself and my students to articulate the learning that is going to be happening during that lesson. And so at the end of the lesson, once we've completed all of the learning activities, the students are then able to move their photo depending on where they think they are sitting according to that learning intention. For example, I can add two numbers together to make 10. If they feel that they are able to do that independently by themselves, then they move their photo to the green. If they need support from myself, but they are able to do some by themselves, then they move to orange. And if they are still needing support for the whole thing, then they go on to red. And it's a really great way for myself and other teachers and parents to be able to see where the students feel that they are sitting according to that learning intention. So a big result of my students learning using formative assessment strategies is that they are now able to reflect on their own learning independently, and they're able to ask for support for me to help them. But my students are now, because we use it on a daily basis, they're very confident and capable of assessing them themselves, by themselves, and they're very honest about it, which I think is great. Through the use of the formative assessment strategies such as my learning intention wall and also mini whiteboards, I'm able to give my students immediate feedback, so I can alter the lesson or the task immediately so that it's actually meaningful and significant for their abilities and capabilities.
Through the use of traffic lights, so using red, amber and green, amber and red stickers, they're able to reflect on their achievement in their work based on the learning intention or the learning goal. So they put a green sticker on if they feel like they've met the learning intention, an orange one if they feel like they're still working on it and need a little bit of support, and a red if they felt like they needed quite a bit of prompting or they still really need quite a bit of support to meet that in the future.
So since implementing a range of formative assessment strategies, we have seen a huge change in our students' outcomes and also their confidence, and we find the implementation of formative assessment really useful in numeracy and literacy lessons.
So I've noticed a significant increase in student outcomes across all learning areas through the use of formative assessment. I've seen greater student engagement and student participation through these strategies, and I feel like students have a greater understanding of what it is that they're doing and what it is that they're trying to achieve, and I feel like they have taken on a greater sense of ownership and purpose for doing those activities. Kathleen and I work very closely together. We plan together, program together, and then often teach lessons together, which I find is a really amazing tool for myself as a professional to be able to work alongside somebody so closely. Kathleen and I learn lots from one another. I know that I've gained lots of skills and different learning techniques from her, and been able to also give her some of those opportunities through watching me teach. So we use collaborative coaching as a form of giving each other feedback to improve our lessons and to then enhance student outcomes.
So as collaborative team teaching is a huge part of Amaru, I found it really useful working with my teaching partner because we've been able to share our strengths and meld these strengths together. And so I have gained some new strategies and some new ideas from my teaching partner and her strengths, and I'm also able to share my strengths with her. So it just improves both of our teaching practices, which will therefore improve our students' learning outcomes.